Travis,
Hey,
Jarrid. Hey, congratulations on Indemnity.
oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Hey, so how does it feel that this film is being showcased at the Fantasia Festival this year?
Oh man, it is actually incredible. It is so awesome. I don't think we could have had a better launching pad for the film, to be honest with you. Fantasia, you know, we've known for years as being one of the biggest genre festivals around the globe. So it was really an honor and a privilege to be able to have the film not only screen there, but in competition as well. And Mitch, the festival director, has been so amazing, such an awesome advocate for the film, and really loved it. And so, yeah, it's felt incredible. And we so stoked and happy that it's there. And at this year's 25th edition as well, it's great.
I know this is such a big action thriller per se, with the stunts, explosions. It has everything in it. So I guess I'll throw the real first question to Travis. Where did you come up with this idea of a fireman going on a government conspiracy, that kind of stuff?
Well, I kind of I always knew that I wanted to make an action film as my first feature film. Growing up, it was the kinds of films that I watched the most. And I feel like there was this like era of action films, like mid-90s, early noughties, which was like your Enemy of the States, your Fugitives, the Bourne films. There were these amazing sort of set pieces with a lot of spectacle, but really anchored in something that's character driven and something emotional. And I found that was always the films that I resonated with the most. That you have these amazing blockbusters, but they actually have in a very subversive way, they're layering in some serious topical issues. Enemy of the State was dealing with privacy and Man on Fire with trafficking. So I really loved that concept. And then so I knew that there was a kind of film that I wanted to make, and by design I wanted it to look like a sort of that action film that is centered on character. Like I feel like those films once upon a time used to do. I mean, now and again you still find it, but I find like lately it's a lot more spectacle than actual character and emotion. So that was really important for me. And then the impetus for the idea was really a good couple of years ago, doing a lot of research on I'd actually stumbled across an article that was talking about soldiers that had returned from war in Afghanistan. This is like a decade ago, and how they'd been struggling to readapt to life, and as a result of PTSD, and then just the lack of infrastructure that was there to support and encourage and heal, work with these soldiers in order to overcome that. And then did a lot of research closer to home. And learned so much about firefighters, because I felt like, in dealing and discussing with trauma, we had seen cop stories before, we had seen paramedic stories before. Here and there was a firefighter stories, but like considering that they're the backbone and they play such of societies and they play such an integral role in keeping us safe, I felt it weird that it wasn't, that we hadn't seen a character front and center, a firefighter in this light before. And so it was really sort of taking the idea of trauma and PTSD, and just in terms of my own personal experience, in terms of having conversations with people and the difficulty around men being able to admit that they need help, or open, start a conversation around, asking for help or admitting that they needed to, get some kind of therapy. I found, setting the film within this sort of world of firefighters where it's insanely masculine, wouldn't that be interesting to explore? And so it was really born out of, a bunch of different things, and it kind of eventually evolved into, okay, well, what happened if someone used that as a weapon? If they use trauma as a weapon? And the result is the film that you ultimately watch in Fantasia.
Well, we can't say nothing ever happens in South Africa. That's for sure. Jarrid, Watching this film, you are easily following the footsteps of Tom Cruise here. Tell us why you were attracted to this project of Indemnity.
Geez, that's a tall order there, man. I hope one day we can make as many films of Indemnity as Tom Cruise has with all his films.
Yeah.
No, I think straight to the back. You know, if you're a young man, I mean, I'm 31 years old. I think I was 30 when we shot the film. I think when you hear action film, you go, I want to be there. You know what I mean? I think the action element has definitely got to be one of the has a big part of that has to do with the action. But I think as an actor, you know, as an actor who genuinely takes so much pride in what I do, and who has really fallen in love with acting and filmmaking as a whole, and really kind of making sure that I respect the fundamental values of what it means to be an actor and a storyteller. I think from that perspective, when you know, what made me really fall in love with the film was the context and the subject matter. You know, when we talk about the subject matter, we talk about PTSD, and we talk about trauma, and we talk about a young man who's a firefighter, who has a wife, who has a kid, and who's confronted by so many elements all at once. I think ultimately that was the one thing that made me fall in love with it, was that there was just so much there. There was just so much to explore and dig into and shed light on and learn about personally as well. You know, so I think ultimately I think it was the context and the subject matter and all the little things that was kind of around all the action stuff that made me fall in love with it. I think the action stuff was definitely a big part of it, but I think it was everything in between that made me really want to be a part of it, and that attracted me to the film at its core. Like ultimately, that is it for me.
Well, let's talk about these action sequences here, because one of the most amazing one is Jarrid hanging off the side of the building. So for you, Jarrid, talk about the preparation for that, and then Travis, you could tell us, this being your featured directorial debut, how did you pull it off? Because you had to be on the side of the building too. Start with you, Jarrid.
No, I think when we're talking about the preparation, I mean, it's no secret, you know, Gambit Films, and everybody that is involved with Gambit Films, they just such a joy to work with, man. You know, they really are. I mean, if you ever get the opportunity to work with Gambit Films, you take it. Do you know what I mean? And I think just to quickly touch on this before I answer the question is that I don't think people really understand the kind of people that are at the helm of Gambit Films. They are genuinely very good people, you know, and I think that's what attracts everybody to them, is that they are all such gentle souls who are just ultimately in love with storytelling, and I want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? And couple, just to answer your question, I think Gambit Films and Stunt Team SA really took the time to, I mean, you could see by the time we started training and going into the training phase of Theo, or me going to be playing Theo, that they had already kind of spent, I mean, a crazy amount of hours, days, weeks, months, I mean, even years, to make sure that by the time we get to film training, that, you know, everything is kind of in order. So there was a clear vision, there was a clear understanding of what we want, there was a clear understanding of how we're going to do it and what we're going to do and when we're going to do. I mean, these people had me on, you know, the best diet I ever had in my life. I don't think I've eaten that kind of food in my life. So I mean, it's really, they had me on a special diet. I mean, there was a schedule for me to train for 3 months every single day, with a couple of rest days in between. But I think I genuinely, I think the stunt team, Vernon and Grant Powell, kind of had to fight with me a little bit to take a rest day, because I wasn't there to rest. I was there to put the work in. So yeah, no, we trained for 3 months. There was a strategic plan. It ultimately started with like the cardio and endurance, and getting the physical, just the endurance levels up, and trying to make sure that I am capable to go, for long periods of time. And I think that was the first phase. The second phase was they were trying to get me familiar with just some action stunt beats, was just with reaction beats, just making sure that the body moves, making sure that I understand how the body must move when it's taking a punch, when it's throwing a punch. And those were all like just fundamental stuff, like step ones of action stuff or stunt stuff. And so I think phase 3 was all about how to handle equipment like firearms, knives, and making myself familiar with all those little things, and how to use it and how not to use it. And then I think by month 2 was when they really started introducing the the big boy stuff, which was the choreography and movement and the style. There was very specific style for Theo, and I obviously had to familiarize myself with this specific style, with the hand-to-hand combat, the close combat stuff, and I think that was pretty much the difficult thing, was familiarizing myself with the style, because as a young man, you're growing up in South Africa, we all grew up playing around with your cousins and your nieces and your nephews and your friends, just like playing around, wrestling with each other. But when you're shooting a film, it's not the same. It's very technical. There's a specific way to do things. You gotta do it that way. It's not just come in and throw someone and hit someone, So that was by the second month, I think we were just trying to familiarize me with the style. They were trying to get me to really kind of embody the style of what Theo's physical capabilities were, and how that was supposed to be done. And by month 3, I think we then realized that we've now got the cardio up, we've got the endurance up. I knew now how to use the guns, the knives, how to react to certain things, how to take a punch, how to hit, how to break a fall, how to do these, all those little things. And then by month 3, we started doing the big stuff, which was the rigging stuff, the falling, the explosion stuff, and how we were going to do that. And so they really kind of, for that last month, made sure that I was able to, I don't know, if I had to make a car flip, I'd probably know how to do it, So they really kind of put me through my paces and making sure that I could pretty much do everything by myself, with the vision and with the helpful eye of the stunt team, and then also the rigging guys. So it was very intense, it was an intense 3 months, but I think ultimately by the end of the 3 months, we were all kind of in agreement that we're gonna make a hell of a film, and it's gonna be. We took a lot of pride in making sure that I do all the stunts, and then that's we wanted to achieve that. And by the end of the 3 months, we were all in agreement that we were going to achieve it by any means necessary, and we're all just very excited to then get into the filming process. And by day 1, I think we shot one of the big fight sequences, and by the end of that day, we all were like, oh yeah, it's game on, man. We have something special here, And so that was pretty much the training aspect of it. It lasted for 3 months, and it was painful, but with the help of Gambit Films and Travis and the producers and the production itself, they were always there, making sure that we don't kind of get ahead of ourselves. Everything had to be safe, and everything had to be made. We all had to be sure that it is possible, so that no one gets hurt, no one gets injured, and they really wanted to make sure that it was done in a safe and in a safe manner that keeps everybody out of injury. Yeah, but it was lovely.
And Travis, how did you pull off the filming? I mean, you were putting yourself in danger. It's almost like you were doing the stunts too.
Fortunately, I didn't have to hang out the side of the building. I just made Jarrid do it. No,
but now you're giving us an idea.
No, you know what? Okay, let me first start by giving credit where it's due. I think Jarrid did an incredible job. I think he committed himself fully to the role, and I think he put in the effort to make sure that he was able to achieve not only the physical stunts in a very, very believable way, but also go there emotionally and anchor the film in a vulnerability that I think is what people ultimately resonate with. And I think, he deserves all the credit in terms of hanging outside a window 20 stories up is no easy feat. And you know what it was? I think that was on the first day we did a fight sequence, and like within that week, like a couple of days later, we did that stunt. I remember it was up like very, very early, and we were like, I think everyone was a little bit nervous, but very excited because, we knew we were trying to do something that we hadn't managed to achieve yet locally in a South African film, for various reasons. Not to say that we weren't capable of achieving, stunts like that. I was incredibly blessed to be surrounded by people who really believed in the project. So I had a stunt coordinator and a fight choreographer that Jarrid mentioned, Vernon Willemse and Grant Powell, who were absolutely incredible. And like these guys have worked on Tomb Raider, Mad Max, Fury Road, like these big international productions that come and shoot in South Africa. But it's always been that case in terms of there's a certain kind of film previously that has been produced from South Africa purely for financial reasons. Action is extremely expensive to produce. And so, knowing what the ambition was with this project, they really they were there from the very beginning. They were committed to this project. They were like, how can we make this, put all our years of experience and expertise to use in a way that will be, showcasing something proudly South African. And so from the get-go, we were always working together as a team, and it was like, okay, cool. So I knew that we had certain set pieces, action set pieces throughout the film, and each one was individually crafted and sometimes purposely designed in a way to try and reduce costs, i.e. keeping it in an elevator or the back of a police van, or just trying to be smart about it. And these guys were just like, okay, cool, we can do that, we can do that. This is what we can do, this is what we can't do. So it was this amazing sort of energy that came together in the filmmaking process. And I think, for all of us, it was something exciting. We'd grown up, watching films, loving films. I love action, sci-fi, fantasy, like, things that are a bit out there. And you always wonder, you always watch these behind the scenes making ofs, as a kid growing up, going like, I want to do that. That looks like fun. And so it was an awesome opportunity to really be able to do that in the making of this film. And I remember that day was, it was like it wasn't even the only thing we shot that day, because we still had to shoot some dramatic scenes and the build up to the actual stunt outside. But the stunt itself was, it was cool, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of the shoot going forward. And everyone's like, cool, what's next? Like, what can we do next? How can we up this? How can we, keep on making it exciting? And really, it was, like I say, like between Jarrid, who just really brought his A game all the time, and the incredible crew that I had to work with, or had the opportunity to work with, really made, this film making experience just special. It was easy on set. Obviously filmmaking is hard, so that's a very loose term, but it really it made everything worth it. It was such a pleasant experience. We're all going to learn and grow together, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. And I learned so much through this experience that it's something that I'll take with me for eternity. And hopefully it just gets, we keep on growing and getting better and better.
Most excellent. Well, gentlemen, that's all the time I actually have. I could talk to you guys for hours about this. But hey, congratulations once again for Indemnity. I mean, it's an action film, very fun, and I could tell you guys had fun with it. So it's been a pleasure speaking to you too about it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's an pleasure as well.
Thank you. Bye now.
Well, yeah, chat soon.
Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.